believe innovation is really anything that brings new value to the world. So you could combine two existing resources to come up with a new value or a new business model. That's what innovation truly is, when we realize new value. The reason why I stress on value so much is because the world's full of many inventions, but not all of those are innovations. Innovation and invention have a difference, and the difference is all in the value. Why it's really important? Innovation is very important in today's world because our world is so dynamic. The world's become so global, so it's extremely competitive everywhere. So innovation is no longer like they would say something extra. It's actually a key to survival in today's world. I would say an innovator is anybody that can bring new value with their innovation. New value to the world, a new benefit, a new realized business model, a new product, a new service, or a better way to use existing ones. The first one I would say would have to be continuous learning, because at the end of the day, there's no limit to how much improvement and innovation can happen in this world. So the more exposure and data this person gets exposed to, the more they can innovate. So continuous learning would have to be the first. Creativity would be the second. And I would say passion is the third, because at the end of the day, everything that you do with passion is what would sustain. So if I talk even about innovators generally, innovators are people who are willing to take risks and experiment. I would say the big challenge any innovator would face, whether it's in the GCC or globally, is to really have a safe environment to experiment and have the resources they need to come up with this innovation. I wouldn't even say management, but I would say leadership. Leadership is the key to having any successful change take place. And that's even more so with innovation, because innovation is about experimenting and taking risks. So you really need that leadership to show that this is the culture that a company or a country would like to have in place, and that is fully supported. Strategy is important in actually getting those innovations achieved and realized in an effective and efficient manner. So both are key to drive innovation. In my previous role as a manager of innovation at Emirates National Oil Company, I didn't only have to implement a certain process, I actually had to design it for the organization. We did a benchmark study on that. We looked at the different innovation processes, systems, policies, and rewards that were taking place across entities in Dubai. And then I established a system for ENOC. So that's where I had an exposure of that in my career. Other than that, I also had to conduct lateral thinking certified training sessions, which are innovation tools. And I think that's another interesting form of innovation process when it comes to ideation. Because you really see how having a structured process for thinking and innovation tools, you can really see how they drive new ideas. Initially, in my role as a manager of innovation in ENOC, I would say it's setting up the innovation unit in an oil and gas company and industry. Because we set that up for around 3 to 4 years back. So this was before the oil prices went down. So to really change the culture in an organization where innovation was not a need was a big challenge. I was very proud of what we achieved in that organization. We managed to turn 121 ideas into projects, which got 60 million in value for the organization, and that system is still sustained today in the company. I'm even more proud now as an employee in Expo2020 because we are going to be showcasing innovations on a global platform. We're going to really show the different innovations that have taken place in different organizations, and we're going to really embrace innovation by connecting minds and creating the future in Dubai in 2020. There's a famous saying which says, need is the mother of all inventions. So in the past, we were very blessed to have an oil and gas sector where we were very blessed to have the oil and gas sector, and oil prices were doing really well in the world. So we never really needed to get too creative in that industry. But as you all know, in today's world, oil prices have gone down by more than 50%. So the industry suddenly realized the need to get creative and innovative, especially with renewable energy coming into the picture as well, because that might disrupt the oil and gas industry. So there's the oil industry is kind of facing a tie between the renewables and the tough oil prices, and they're trying to manage that. So that was the challenge. It was not needed before. From my experience in the field, I would say innovations are never really eureka moments. They're not very random. I would say and recommend that all innovators continue to expose themselves to new knowledge, new technologies, to really have an understanding of different industries, to make good connections. I've come across a young innovator who was innovator and inventor who was only 7 years old actually. So innovation doesn't really know any age, and neither does it know any intellect, because another very great invention had come from a UAE national who was a very proud C student. So it's not about being the star A student in your class or about being very old in age. It's really just about making very interesting connections and having the confidence to experiment. Definitely. Diversity really promotes innovation, because having different schools of thoughts really helps connect new dots, which again I go back to my point of creating new value for the world. If we look back at history, many inventions and innovations came from world expos. And at Expo2020, we really believe that today's challenges are too complex to be solved in silos, and that the world will be a much better place when we connect together to solve those and learn from each other's experiences. And this is really actually reflected in Expo's theme of connecting the mind and creating the